Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. His ship, the UES Horizon, had been traveling for 3 months to reach this system. Today was special. Today, humans were going to meet aliens for the first time. "Captain, we have movement on the sensors," said Lieutenant Ben Clark from his station. "5 ships coming toward us. They're big, sir. Much bigger than ours." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was it. The moment that would change everything for humanity. He looked around at his crew. Dr. Lisa Carter, their best scientist, was checking her notes one more time. Marine Commander Alex Rodriguez stood. Ready near the door, everyone was nervous but excited. "Open a channel," Jake ordered. "Let's try to talk to them." The main screen flickered to life. What appeared made everyone on the bridge take a step back. The alien was tall, maybe 8 feet, with skin that looked like blue crystal. But the most shocking thing was its arms. It had 4 of them, and each one ended not in hands like humans, but in long, sharp blades that gleamed like metal. "I am High Commander HFY of the Zelhari Empire," the alien said. Its voice was cold and harsh. "You are the species called humans, yes?" Jake straightened his uniform and stepped forward. "Yes, I am Captain Jake Morrison. We come in peace. We want to learn about you and share knowledge." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter, but it was not friendly. Peace? Knowledge? How amusing. Its 4 blade arms moved as it talked, cutting through the air. "Show me your hands, human." Jake was confused but held up his hands. Dr. Carter and the others did the same. HFY looked at their hands for a long time. Then he made that harsh laughing sound again. "These soft, pink things, these are your hands. Where are your weapons? Where are your claws, your blades?" "We don't have natural weapons," Dr. Carter said, trying to sound calm. "We make tools and weapons when we need them." "Tools?" HFY seemed amazed. "You mean you cannot fight without artificial help? Your hands cannot cut, cannot pierce?" "Cannot." "Kill?" The alien held up one of his blade arms. "These are hands. These are weapons. Yours are just—" "Soft meat." Alex Rodriguez stepped forward, his face angry. "Our hands work just fine. We built this ship with these hands. We built cities, machines, everything. Built?" HFY laughed harder. "You use your hands for building, for making things? Like slaves? Like workers?" He turned to talk to other aliens off-screen. When he looked back, his expression had changed. It was colder now, more dangerous. "This is very interesting," HFY said slowly. "Very interesting indeed. Your species has hands perfect for delicate work, perfect for ... labor." Jake felt something. Cold in his stomach. "What do you mean?" "The Zelhari Empire has been looking for new workers. Species with precise manipulation abilities. Your soft hands would be perfect for the tasks we need done." HFY's blade arms moved faster now, excited. "You could work in our mines, our factories, our electronic systems." "We're not workers for anyone," Alex said firmly. "We're explorers. Scientists, soldiers." "Soldiers?" HFY found this very funny. "With those weak hands, you call these hands? I can't even see how you could hold a weapon properly." "They're not for holding weapons, are they? They're just for—" "Making things. Building things, working." Dr. Carter tried to speak. "Our hands are actually quite strong. Humans have excellent grip strength and fine motor control. We can—" "Silence!" HFY commanded. "I have heard enough. You will come with us. Your species will serve the Zelhari Empire. With your building hands, you will work for us." The main screen went black. Immediately, alarms started ringing all over the ship. "Captain!" Ben Clark shouted from his station. "They're powering weapons, all 5 ships. Shields up!" Jake ordered. All hands to battle stations. But it was too late. The alien weapons were far more advanced than anything humans had. Bright blue beams cut through the Horizon's shields like they were made of paper. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered and went out. "Hull breach on decks 4 and 5, someone yelled. "Life support failing. Engines are offline." Jake grabbed the communication device. "This is Captain Morrison to all hands. Prepare for boarding. They're coming aboard. Through the walls, they—" could hear the sound of metal being cut apart. The aliens were using their blade arms to slice through the ship's hull like it was butter. Jake pulled out his sidearm, a standard human pistol. Alex Rodriguez had his rifle ready. Dr. Carter stood. Behind them, trying to look brave, the door to the bridge exploded inward. 3 Zelhari warriors came through, their 4 blade arms spinning and cutting. One of them moved toward Ben Clark. The lieutenant tried to shoot, but the alien was too fast. Its blade arm swept across, and Ben fell to the floor. Jake fired his pistol at the nearest alien. The bullets bounced off its crystal skin without doing any damage. Alex's rifle was no better. The human weapons were useless. Within minutes, it was over. The aliens had taken the entire ship. Jake, Lisa, Alex, and the surviving crew members were forced to their knees in the ship's main corridor. Zelhari warriors stood over them, blade arms ready to kill if anyone moved. High Commander Vex-High walked through the damaged hallway, looking at the human prisoners. "So easy," he said. "Your weapons are as weak as your hands. Your ship is destroyed. Your people are captured." He stopped in front of Jake. "You thought you were explorers? Soldiers, you are workers, nothing more. Look at your hands." He grabbed Jake's wrist with one of his blade arms, careful not to cut. Soft and weak, perfect for detail work, terrible for fighting. Jake looked at his hands. They were shaking, covered in small cuts from the battle. They looked so small and weak compared to the aliens' natural weapons. "You will learn," Vex-High continued. "The Zelhari Empire has many worlds, many mines, many factories. Places where your soft hands will be very useful. Places where you will work until you die." Dr. Carter spoke up, her voice shaking. "You can't do this. We're a peaceful species. We came here to meet you as equals." "Equals?" Vex-High laughed. "Look at your hands, then look at mine. We are not equals. We are superior. You are workers. That is the natural order." The aliens forced the humans to their feet and pushed them toward the airlock. Through the small window, Jake could see a massive Zelhari ship waiting. It was dark and frightening, covered in sharp edges like the aliens themselves. As they were pushed aboard the alien vessel, Jake heard Vex-High speaking to his warriors. "Contact the Empire. Tell them we have found a new worker species. Their hands are perfect for precision tasks. Weak, but perfect for what we need." Jake looked down at his hands again. They were just hands, human hands. Soft and weak, just like the alien said. He couldn't imagine how they would ever get out of this situation. How could humans fight beings with natural weapons when all they had were these soft, helpless hands? The airlock sealed behind them with a sound like a tomb closing. Their ship, the Horizon, drifted away, broken and empty. The adventure that was supposed to bring peace between species had become something else entirely, something much worse. The journey to the alien world took 2 days. Jake Morrison and his crew were locked in a dark room with barely any light. The walls were made of the same crystal material as the alien's skin, but these walls were black and cold. There were no windows, no way to see outside. Dr. Lisa Carter sat in the corner, writing notes on a small piece of paper she had hidden. She watched the alien guards when they brought food. The guards had the same 4 blade arms as their commander, but these ones were smaller, younger maybe. "They keep staring at our hands," Lisa whispered to Jake. "Every time they see us, they look at our hands first." Jake nodded. His hands were still sore from where the alien commander had grabbed them. "They think we're weak because we don't have natural weapons." Marine Commander Alex Rodriguez was pacing back and forth like a caged animal. "We need to find a way out of here. There has to be something we can do." "With what?" Jake asked. "They took all our weapons. Our ship is gone. We're flying through space in their ship to their world." The ship suddenly shook and then stopped moving. Through the walls, they could hear voices speaking in the alien language. It sounded like sharp glass breaking. The door opened and 2 guards came in. "Time to go," one of them said in broken human language. "Work time now." They were pushed out of the room and through long hallways. The alien ship was huge inside. Much bigger than any human ship. The walls were covered in symbols that looked like cracks in ice. Other aliens walked past them, all with the same four-blade arms, all looking at the human prisoners like they were strange animals. Finally, they reached another airlock. Through the window, Jake could see a planet below. It was mostly brown and red, like a desert. In the distance, he could see huge black buildings rising from the ground like mountains. "Welcome to Kethmer," said a new alien voice. This one was different from their commander. Smaller, with silver skin instead of blue. "This is your new home. You will work here until you die." The airlock opened and hot, dry air hit them in the face. The planet smelled like dust and metal. The sky was orange, with two suns beating down on everything. Jake had never felt heat like this. They were marched down a metal ramp toward the huge buildings. As they got closer, Jake could see that the buildings were actually one massive structure. It stretched as far as he could see in both directions. Smoke and steam came out of pipes and vents all over it. "Mining facility," the silver alien explained. As they walked, "We dig deep into the planet. Find rare metals, very valuable metals. You will help." Around the entrance to the facility, Jake could see other prisoners. They were not human. Some looked like large insects with many legs. Others were covered in fur and walked on four legs. Some were so strange that Jake could not understand what they were supposed to be, but they all had one thing in common. They all looked tired, scared, broken. "Many species work here," the silver alien continued. "Each species has different skills. The Krytar are strong, good for heavy lifting." He pointed to the insect-like creatures. "The Vendor are fast, good for running messages." He pointed to the furry ones. The alien stopped and looked at the humans. "And humans? Humans have the best hands for detailed work. Electronic work, small parts, very important work." They were pushed through the entrance into the facility. Inside it was even hotter. The air was thick with dust and smoke. Machines made loud noises everywhere. Jake could see prisoners of different species working at various jobs. Throughout the huge space, the humans were separated into different groups. Dr. Carter was taken to one area, where other prisoners were working on small electronic devices. Jake and several other crew members were taken to another area, where they would sort small metal parts, but Alex Rodriguez was taken somewhere else entirely. "This one is different," said a new alien guard, bigger than the others. "This one has the look of a fighter. He goes to the arena." "Arena?" Alex asked, but the guard just pushed him away from the others. Jake tried to follow, but another guard blocked his way with its blade arms. "You go to work area." Fighter goes to entertainment area. Lisa Carter was pushed toward a table covered with tiny electronic parts. Other prisoners were already working there. Most of them were from species Jake had never seen before. They had thin, delicate fingers that moved very quickly over the small parts. "You will repair communication devices," said a guard. "You're human. Hands are soft enough not to damage the circuits. Other species are too rough, too clumsy, but your weak hands are perfect." Lisa looked at her hands. They were just normal human hands, not particularly small or large. She had never thought of them as being special for electronic work. But compared to the alien blade arms, she supposed human fingers did look more precise. She picked up one of the devices and looked at it. It was clearly alien technology, but the basic principles seemed similar to human electronics. The circuits were smaller, more complex, but she thought she could figure it out. The guard watched her for a moment. "Good, you understand? You will work 12 hours, then rest 6 hours, then work 12 hours again, every day, until you die." Jake was taken to another table where small metal parts were scattered everywhere. They were all different shapes and sizes. Some looked like screws, others like tiny gears. A sign above the table had alien writing, but below it was writing in human language. "Sort by size and material type." The work seemed simple enough, but as Jake began sorting, he realized how difficult it actually was. The parts were very small and very similar to each other. It took careful attention to tell them apart. His fingers had to be precise to pick up the smallest pieces without dropping them. An alien guard stood nearby, watching. "Your species is perfect for this work. the guard said. Blade arms cannot pick up such small things without crushing them. Claw hands tear the metal, but your soft meat hands can touch without destroying. Jake picked up a tiny gear between his thumb and finger. It was smaller than his fingernail. The alien was right. Blade arms would never be able to handle something so delicate. How long have the others been here? Jake asked, nodding toward the other prisoners. The Krytar came 2 years ago. The vendor came 1 year ago. You humans are the newest workers, but you will learn quickly or you will be punished. Throughout the day, Jake watched the other species working. The insect-like Krytar were indeed very strong. They carried heavy loads that would be impossible for humans, but their hands were large and clumsy. With thick fingers that could not handle small objects, the furry vendor were fast runners, carrying messages and supplies throughout the facility. But their paw-like hands were even worse than the Krytar. For detailed work, other species had other skills, but none of them could do the precise, delicate work that required careful finger control. That job was given to the humans. As the hours passed, Jake began to understand why the aliens had captured them. Human hands really were different, not better or worse, just different. They could do things that natural weapons and claws could not do, but Jake also began to notice something else. Something the aliens had not considered. Human hands were not just precise and delicate. They were also surprisingly strong in ways the aliens did not understand. When Jake gripped the small metal parts, he could feel the strength in his fingers. He could bend the metal slightly if he squeezed hard enough. None of the aliens seemed to notice this. They saw human hands as weak because they were soft and had no natural weapons. They did not see the hidden strength that came from millions of years of evolution, of gripping tools and climbing trees and building things. Dr. Carter was making similar observations as she worked on the electronic devices. Her fingers were precise enough to handle the delicate circuits, but they were also strong enough to grip components firmly. She could feel the potential power in her hands, power that the aliens completely overlooked. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the facility, Alex Rodriguez was being prepared for something very different. The aliens had seen something in him that they thought would make good entertainment. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. As night fell on the alien world, the human prisoners were taken to sleeping areas. They were given thin blankets and hard beds, but at least they could rest. Jake lay in his bed, looking at his hands in the dim light. The aliens called them weak, soft, good only for delicate work, but Jake was beginning to think the aliens were very, very wrong. Alex Rodriguez woke up in a different place than the others. His room was smaller and had bars made of metal instead of walls. Through the bars, he could see a large open space with sand on the ground. Around the sand area, there were seats rising up in circles like a stadium. An alien guard came to his cell. This one was bigger than the others, with dark red crystal skin and scars across his blade arms. Time for morning meal, fighter, the guard said. Today you learn what the arena is for. Alex was given a bowl of something that looked like gray soup. It tasted terrible, but he was hungry, so he ate it anyway. While he ate, the guard talked. Many species come to Kethmer, the guard explained. Most work in the mines, but some fight for entertainment. Zelhari enjoy watching different species battle creatures from across the galaxy. What kind of creatures? Alex asked. The guard made that harsh laughing sound that all the aliens seemed to make. You will see soon enough. Today you fight. The Bone Render. It is a good first test. What if I refuse to fight? Then you die slowly in the punishment chambers. If you fight, you might die quickly in the arena. Choose. Alex finished his meal and looked at his hands. They were still sore from the capture, but they felt strong. He had been a Marine for 10 years. He had trained in hand-to-hand combat his whole adult life, but he had always used weapons. Guns, knives, combat gear. Now he had nothing but his bare hands. After the meal, Alex was taken through underground tunnels to a waiting area beneath the arena. He could hear voices above, hundreds of them. The aliens were gathering to watch the fight. In the waiting area, there were weapons hanging on the walls. Swords, spears, axes, all made for species with natural weapons. Alex picked up a sword, but it felt wrong in his hands. It was designed for blade arms, not human fingers. He could barely hold it properly. Weapons not fit human hands, said another prisoner in the waiting area. This one looked like a large lizard with scales and a long tail. I am Crush. I have been fighting here for many months. Weapons here made for claws and blades, not for soft hands like yours. Then how do I fight without weapons? Alex asked. Crush looked at Alex's hands. Most species here have natural weapons, claws, fangs, poison, sharp edges. Humans have none of these. You are the first human to fight in the arena. Guards think you will die in first few seconds. The sound of a loud horn came from above. Time to go, said a guard. The crowd is ready. Alex was pushed up a ramp toward bright light. When he stepped into the arena, the noise was incredible. Hundreds of Zohari sat in the seats around the sand floor, all of them making excited sounds with their blade arms clicking together. The arena was bigger than Alex had expected, maybe 100 feet across. The sand was deep and soft, making it hard to walk quickly. On the other side, a large gate was slowly opening. High Commander Vexhai stood up in a special seat high above the arena. His voice echoed throughout the space. Today we test the newest worker species. The humans claim to be fighters, but look at their hands. Soft meat. No weapons. No claws. Let us see how long this one survives against the bone render. The gate on the far side opened completely, and something came out that made Alex's blood run cold. The bone render was huge, maybe twice as tall as a human. It walked on 4 legs like an animal, but its front legs ended in massive claws that looked like they were made of white bone. Its head was long and narrow, filled with sharp teeth, but the worst part was its arms. It had 2 long arms that hung down from its shoulders, and each arm ended in claws that were 3 feet long and razor sharp. The creature looked at Alex and roared. The sound was so loud that sand fell from the ceiling. Then it began to run. Toward him. Alex did what every human would do when facing a creature like this. He looked for something to use as a weapon. But there was nothing in the arena except sand. No rocks, no sticks, nothing. The bone render was getting closer. Alex could see that it planned to attack with those massive claws, probably trying to cut him in half with one swipe. He had maybe 10 seconds before it reached him. In those 10 seconds, Alex made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Instead of running away from the creature, he ran toward it. The crowd fell silent. Even the bone render seemed confused. Most prey animals ran away from it, not toward it. When the creature swung its right claw at Alex, trying to cut him down, Alex did something that no one expected. Instead of dodging the claw, he grabbed it. His hands closed around the creature's wrist, just above the massive claw. The bone render roared in surprise and pain. It had never had prey grab its weapons before. Alex could feel the incredible strength in his hands as he gripped the creature's arm. Human hands were designed by millions of years of evolution to grip things tightly, to hold on to tree branches, while swinging through forests, to grasp tools and weapons and never let go. The bone render tried to pull its arm away, but Alex held on. His fingers dug into the creature's flesh like steel cables. The creature swung its other claw at Alex, but he grabbed that one too. Now Alex was holding both of the creature's main weapons. The bone render could not understand what was happening. Its claws were supposed to cut through anything, but these soft human hands were holding them like they were trapped in metal clamps. Alex began to twist the creature's arms. He had learned in marine training that bones and joints could be broken if you applied force in the right direction. The bone render's arms were strong, but they were not designed to resist twisting forces. There was a loud crack as something in the creature's right arm broke. The bone render screamed in pain and tried to bite Alex with its huge teeth, but Alex was too close to its arms. The creature could not reach him with its mouth. Another crack, and the left arm broke too. The creature's massive claws fell uselessly to the sand. Without its main weapons, the bone render was just a large, injured animal. Alex let go of the broken arms and stepped back. The creature tried to attack with its back legs, but it was in too much pain to coordinate properly. Alex moved around behind it and grabbed its neck with both hands. The crowd was completely silent now. They had never seen anything like this before. Alex's hands closed around the creature's throat. The bone render struggled, but it was already weak from its broken arms. Alex could feel the life going out of it as his grip tightened. In less than 5 minutes, it was over. The bone render lay dead in the sand, killed not by claws or weapons or natural armor, but by human hands. Alex stood up and looked at his hands. They were covered in the creature's blood, but they were not seriously injured. His fingers were strong and flexible, just like they had always been. Just like every human's fingers were. High Commander HFY stood up in his seat, staring down at the arena. For the first time since Alex had met him, the alien looked confused and maybe a little worried. "Impossible," HFY said, but his voice was not as confident as before. "The bone render has killed dozens of fighters. How did Soft Hands defeat it?" Alex looked up at the alien commander. "You want to know about human hands? They're not just for holding things. They're not just for building things. They're for grabbing things and never letting go. They're for crushing things. For breaking things." He held up his hands so the entire crowd could see them. "You think these are weak because they're soft? You think they can't fight because they don't have claws or blades?" Alex picked up one of the bone render's broken claws from the sand. It was as thick as his arm and made of solid bone. Using just his hands, he began to bend it. The crowd watched in amazement as the claw, which had seemed unbreakable, slowly curved under the pressure of Alex's fingers. With a loud snap, the claw broke in half. "You want to know what human hands are really for?" Alex said, throwing the broken pieces at HFY's feet. "They're for ripping apart anything we don't like." The arena was so quiet you could hear the wind blowing across the sand. Every alien in the crowd was staring at Alex's hands with a new expression. Not amusement or contempt. Fear. Back in the mining facility, Dr. Lisa Carter was still working on electronic devices when she heard the news. Guards were talking in excited voices about something that had happened in the arena. She could not understand their language, but she could tell they were upset about something. One of the guards came over to her workstation. "The human fighter," the guard said in broken human language. "He did something impossible. He broke the bone render with his hands." Lisa looked down at her own hands. She was holding a small circuit board, manipulating the tiny components with her fingertips. The aliens thought her hands were only good for delicate work. But if Alex could break a creature with his bare hands, what else could human hands do? She looked around at all the electronic equipment in the facility. All the control panels and communication devices and power systems. Everything the aliens had built was designed for blade arms and claws. None of it was designed to resist being grabbed and twisted by human hands. For the first time since their capture, Dr. Lisa Carter began to smile. Captain Jake Morrison was sorting metal parts when he heard the commotion. Guards were running back and forth, talking rapidly in their harsh language. Some of them kept looking at the human prisoners with new expressions. 3 days after Alex's fight in the arena, everything changed at the mining facility. The alien guards were nervous. They watched the human prisoners more carefully now, especially their hands. But they still did not understand what they were. Really dealing with Alex had been moved to a special cell after his victory. The bars were thicker, and there were more guards. High Commander HFY wanted to study him, to understand how soft human hands had defeated the bone render. But HFY was asking the wrong questions. On the third night, Alex decided he had waited long enough. The guard outside his cell was one of the smaller aliens, with green crystal skin and thin blade arms. The alien was half asleep, not expecting any trouble from a prisoner locked. Behind thick metal bars, Alex reached through the bars and grabbed one of the metal supports. The bars were made of some kind of alien metal, harder than steel. The aliens thought they were unbreakable. They had never tested them against human grip strength. Alex wrapped his fingers around the bar and began to squeeze. At first, nothing happened. The metal was very strong. But Alex had learned something important in his fight with the bone render. Human hands were not just for gripping. They were for applying pressure in ways that no other species could match. He twisted the bar while squeezing it. Metal was strong against pulling and pushing, but it was weaker against twisting forces. Slowly, very slowly, the bar began to bend. The guard heard a soft creaking sound and looked up. His eyes went wide when he saw what Alex was doing. Before the guard could raise an alarm, Alex grabbed another bar with his other hand. Now he was bending 2 bars at once, using the strength of both hands and the leverage of his whole body. The metal began to bend faster. The guard tried to call for help, but Alex was faster. Alex squeezed 1 bar so hard that it cracked. Then he twisted it until it broke completely. He now had a piece of metal in his hand, sharp on one end where it had broken. The guard raised his blade arms to fight, but Alex already knew how to deal with blade arms. Instead of trying to avoid them, he grabbed them. His left hand closed around the guard's right blade arm. His right hand, holding the broken metal bar, grabbed the guard's left blade arm. The alien struggled, but Alex's grip was like iron. With a sharp twist, Alex broke both of the guard's natural weapons. The alien fell to the ground, unconscious from pain and shock. Alex bent the remaining bars of his cell until there was enough space to squeeze through. For the first time in days he was free, but Alex did not run. Instead he headed toward the main part of the facility where the other humans were being held. Meanwhile, in the electronics section, Dr. Lisa Carter had been thinking about Alex's victory. She had been studying the alien technology while pretending to repair it. The control systems were complex, but they had one major weakness. Everything was controlled by a central power system made of crystalline components. The crystals were very advanced, but they were also brittle. The aliens had designed them to resist energy weapons and cutting tools. They had never designed them to resist being grabbed and crushed by human hands. Lisa looked around. There were dozens of other prisoners working in the electronics section, but most of them were not human. There were only 5 humans in her area, all working on different devices. She caught the eye of Tom Bradley, an engineer from one of the other captured ships. She pointed to the main control panel and made a gripping motion with her hands. Tom looked confused at first, then his eyes widened as he understood. One by one, Lisa signaled to the other humans in the section. When all 5 of them were ready, she gave the signal. Together, they grabbed the main control crystals and squeezed. The crystals were beautiful, clear blue structures that pulsed with energy. They looked delicate, but the aliens thought they were nearly indestructible. The aliens were wrong. Human hands had evolved to crack nuts, to break stones, to crush anything that needed to be broken. The crystals shattered like glass under the pressure of human fingers. Immediately, all the lights in the electronics section went out. Emergency alarms began to sound throughout the facility. In the darkness, Lisa heard alien voices shouting in panic. But the humans were not done. They moved to the backup power systems and crushed those crystals too. Then they found the communication crystals and destroyed them as well. Within minutes, the entire electronics section was powerless and cut off from the rest of the facility. In the main mining area, Captain Jake Morrison heard the alarms and knew something important was happening. He looked around at the other human prisoners in his section. There were 12 of them, all sorting small metal parts under the watch of alien guards. The guards were distracted by the alarms, trying to figure out what was going wrong. Jake saw his chance. He grabbed the metal sorting table with both hands. It was a heavy table made of alien metal, designed to last for years under constant use. But it was not designed to resist human grip strength applied to its weak points. Jake found where 2 pieces of the table were joined together and squeezed. The joint began to separate under the pressure. Other humans saw what he was doing and grabbed different parts of the table. Together, they pulled the heavy table apart with their bare hands. The alien guards turned to see what was happening just as the humans armed themselves with pieces of broken metal, but Jake had learned from Alex's example. He did not try to fight the guards with the metal pieces like weapons. Instead, he grabbed the guards themselves. The first guard raised his blade arms to attack, but Jake caught both arms in his hands. The alien struggled, but Jake's grip was Unbreakable. With a sharp twist, Jake snapped both blade arms like dry sticks. The other humans followed his example. Instead of trying to fight alien natural weapons with improvised tools, they fought alien natural weapons with human hands. It was no contest. Blade arms were sharp and dangerous, but they were also rigid and brittle. Human hands could grip them, twist them, and break them. Within minutes, all the guards in the mining section were defeated. Alex Rodriguez had fought his way through 3 levels of the facility, breaking guards and destroying equipment as he went. He was looking for the main prisoner holding areas when he heard the sound of fighting coming from above. Following the sounds, he found Captain Morrison and the other humans from the mining section. They were standing over several unconscious alien guards holding pieces of broken blade arms. "Captain," Alex said, breathing hard from his fight through the facility. "Good to see you." Jake smiled when he saw his Marine commander. "Alex, I heard about your fight in the arena. Impressive work." "Just getting started, sir. We need to find Dr. Carter and the others." "Already taken care of," said a voice from the darkness. Lisa Carter emerged from a side corridor, followed by the other humans from the electronics section. "We shut down their power grid. The whole facility is running on emergency power now." Jake looked around at the assembled humans. They were all dirty and tired, but their eyes were bright with determination. "How many guards have we dealt with?" "Maybe 20, Alex reported. "But there are more coming. And they're bringing heavier weapons." As if summoned by his words, the sound of marching feet echoed through the corridors. The aliens were organizing a counterattack. "What's the plan, Captain?" asked Tom Bradley. Jake looked at his hands then, at the hands of all the humans around him. For days, the aliens had mocked these hands as weak and useless. The aliens had been very, very wrong. "The plan is simple," Jake said. "We tear this place apart." High Commander HFY stood in his command center, watching reports come in from throughout the facility. The humans had somehow broken out of their containment areas. They had destroyed the main power grid. They had defeated dozens of guards. How is this possible? HFY demanded. "They have no weapons, no natural defenses. How are they defeating trained warriors?" "Sir," reported a subordinate, "the humans are not using weapons. They are using their hands to break our equipment and our guards' blade arms." "Impossible? Soft hands cannot break crystal steel?" "Sir, we have video records from the security systems. Before they destroyed them, the video showed Alex Rodriguez breaking metal bars with his bare hands. It showed humans crushing control crystals like they were made of glass. It showed Captain Morrison snapping alien blade arms like twigs." HFY watched in growing horror as everything he thought he knew about humans proved to be wrong. Their hands were not weak, they were not soft. They were weapons of incredible power, disguised as harmless tools. "Send all available guards to contain them," HFY ordered. "Use energy weapons. Do not let them get close enough to grab anything." But it was too late. The humans had already learned the alien facility's greatest weakness. Everything the aliens had built was designed to be controlled by crystalline technology. And crystals, no matter how advanced, could not resist being crushed by human hands. The uprising had begun, and the aliens were about to learn that human hands were not for holding weapons. They were for destroying everything the aliens had built. The rebellion spread through the mining facility like wildfire. Within 6 hours, the humans had freed all the other prisoners and taken control of 3 entire sections. But Captain Jake Morrison knew this was just the beginning. "We need to get word to Earth," Jake told his team as they gathered in what used to be the facility's main control room. The room was dark now, all the crystal controls crushed by human hands. "Other human ships might come here looking for us." Dr. Lisa Carter was working on the alien communication system, trying to fix enough of it to send a message. "I think I can get one transmitter working," she said. "But the aliens will hear any message we send." "Good," said Alex Rodriguez. "Let them hear it," Jake nodded. They had nothing to hide anymore. The aliens already knew that humans were far more dangerous than they had thought. It was time for the rest of the galaxy to know it too. Lisa finished her work on the transmitter, and handed Jake the speaking device. "You're broadcasting to the entire Zelhari fleet," she said. Jake took the device and spoke clearly into it. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human exploration vessel UES Horizon. To any human ships in this system, stay away from the Zelhari fleet. They capture ships and enslave crews." He paused, then continued with a harder voice. "To the Zelhari Empire, this is our message. You made a mistake when you captured us. You thought our hands were weak because they don't have claws or blades. You were wrong." Jake held up his hands so the video transmitter could see them. "You want to know what human hands are really for? They're not for holding weapons. They're for ripping apart everything you've built." The message went out across space to every Zelhari ship in the system. On the main command ship, High Commander Vex-High received it along with reports from the mining facility. The reports were unbelievable. "Sir," reported a communications officer, "the humans have destroyed 60% of the mining facility. They are not using any weapons. They are tearing apart the structure with their hands." "Impossible," Vex-High said, but his voice was not as confident as before. "Sir, we have more video evidence." The video showed humans pulling apart metal walls like they were made of paper. It showed them crushing support beams by gripping them with both hands and twisting. It showed them destroying machinery by grabbing key components and ripping them out. "How can soft hands do this?" Vex-High demanded. "Sir, we have been studying human anatomy. Their hands are not actually soft. The skin is soft, but underneath are very strong muscles and bones. Their grip strength is far greater than we calculated." Vex-High watched the video of humans systematically destroying everything the Zelhari had built on Kethmar. "Send reinforcements, 3 ships. We will recapture the facility and these dangerous humans." But on the mining planet, the humans were not waiting to be recaptured. They had found the facility's vehicle bay, where the aliens kept transport ships. "For moving prisoners and supplies? Can we fly these?" Jake asked, looking at the alien ships. "The controls are designed for blade arms," Lisa said, "but I think we can modify them. Or just rip out the parts we don't need and control them manually." Alex was examining one of the ships more closely. "Captain, these ships are not very strong. Look at this hull plating." He grabbed a section of the ship's outer hull and squeezed. The metal began to dent under his fingers. "Their technology is advanced, but it's not built to resist direct physical pressure." Jake began to smile. "You're thinking what I'm thinking?" "Yes, sir. If we can get close to their big ships, we don't need weapons to destroy them. We just need our hands." The plan they made was simple and terrible. The humans would use the alien transport ships to get close to the Zelhari fleet. Once there, they would abandon the ships and attack the alien vessels directly, tearing them apart from the outside. It was a crazy plan. It was also the only plan that had any chance of working. 2 days later, the 3 Zelhari reinforcement ships arrived at Kethmar. The commanders expected to find the mining facility still under attack, but mostly intact. What they found was something else entirely. The facility was gone. Not destroyed by explosions or weapons, but systematically torn apart piece by piece. The massive building that had stood for decades was now just piles of twisted metal and broken crystal. It looked like it had been attacked by a giant monster with enormous hands. "Report," demanded the fleet commander as his ship moved closer to the planet. "Sir, we cannot locate any survivors from the facility. The entire structure has been demolished. But, sir, we are detecting several small ships leaving the planet's surface. Survivors attempting to escape. Intercept them." The alien ships moved to block the small transport vessels. It should have been easy. The transports were small and lightly armed. The Zelhari ships were massive warships with powerful weapons and strong armor, but the humans were not planning to fight a normal space battle. As the transport ships got closer to the Zelhari fleet, they suddenly changed course. Instead of trying to escape, they flew directly at the alien warships. "Sir, the human ships are on collision course," reported a Zelhari officer. "Destroy them before they impact." But the humans had no intention of ramming the ships. At the last moment, the transport ships opened their airlocks and the humans jumped out into space. Humans were not designed to survive in the vacuum of space, but they had found environmental suits in the facility. The suits were made for alien body shapes, but the humans had modified them by ripping out unnecessary parts and reshaping them to fit. Alex Rodriguez led the first group, flying through space toward the nearest Zelhari warship. The aliens saw them coming but could not understand what they were planning to do. How could creatures with no natural weapons attack a heavily armored starship? They found out when Alex landed on the ship's hull and grabbed one of the armor plates with both hands. Starship armor was designed to resist energy weapons and projectiles. It was not designed to resist being gripped and twisted by powerful hands. Alex found the weak points where armor plates connected to each other and began to pull them apart. The armor plate was as thick as his arm and made of advanced alien metal. But Alex had learned that alien technology had a fatal flaw. It was designed by species with blade arms and claws. Species that cut and slashed but did not grip and twist. With a sound that echoed through the ship's hull, the armor plate tore away. Alex tossed it aside and grabbed the next one, behind him. Other humans were landing on different parts of the ship. Captain Morrison attacked the ship's main sensor array, crushing the delicate crystal components with his hands. Dr. Carter found the ship's communication system and systematically tore it apart. Inside the ship, alarms were ringing as systems failed one by one. The Zelhari crew had no idea how to respond to this kind of attack. Their weapons could not target enemies that were literally standing on their hull. Their defenses were useless against attackers who were destroying the ship from the outside. Hull breach on Deck 7, reported an alien officer. Sensor array destroyed. Communication system offline? Alex had torn through the outer hull and was now inside the ship, moving through the corridors like a force of nature. When alien crew members tried to stop him with their blade arms, he simply grabbed their weapons and broke them. Where is your command center? Alex demanded of a captured alien. The alien, terrified and with both blade arms broken, pointed down a corridor. Alex found the command center and saw something that made him smile. The entire room was controlled by crystalline technology, just like the mining facility. Hundreds of delicate crystal components that controlled every aspect of the ship. He began systematically crushing every crystal he could reach. On the other two Zelhari ships, the same scene was playing out. Humans were tearing through their hulls, destroying their systems, and defeating their crews with nothing but their bare hands. Hi! Commander Vex-Hi watched from his flagship as his three most powerful warships were destroyed by a handful of humans using no weapons at all. In less than an hour, the ships were powerless hulks drifting in space. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the human planet called Earth." "Put it on screen." The face that appeared was that of an older, human woman in a military uniform. "This is Admiral Nancy Brooks of the Earth Defense Force. We have received Captain Morrison's message about your attack on our exploration ships." Vex-Hi found his voice. "Admiral Brooks, there has been a misunderstanding." "There is no misunderstanding," the Admiral interrupted. "You captured our people. You enslaved them. You forced them to fight in arenas for your entertainment." Behind the Admiral, Vex-Hi could see something that made his blood run cold. Dozens of human ships, all heading toward his position. "Admiral, surely we can negotiate." "You were right about one thing," Admiral Brooks said, her voice as hard as metal. "Human hands are not for holding weapons. They're for tearing apart any species that threatens us." The transmission ended, and Vex-Hi was left staring at the approaching human fleet. Each ship was filled with humans who had heard about what happened to their people. Humans who now knew exactly how to destroy Zelhari technology. On his command ship, Vex-Hi looked down at his own blade arms. For his entire life, he had thought they made him superior to species with soft, weaponless hands. Now he understood the truth.